embarrassed about yesterday, because yesterday you heard me just saying I wasn't ready to do a video, but I did one anyway. And I feel a bit embarrassed about that, but it is what it is, you know. I think I have now done, and I don't know the total of the daily talks, but I saw on Facebook the other day that we had got 290 some live videos out there, 290 times or more than that. I've just come and talked, sometimes with preparation, sometimes not, but you know, I hope that somehow through some of what I've said, it's either been a blessing or an encouragement, or it may be like yesterday, maybe just sort of giving you the opportunity to pray for me. Well, today I woke up and read the news. I don't mean to say I woke up and read the news, but sometime this morning I read the news that there's been a COVID vaccine approved for use in the United Kingdom, and so the UK is now the first of the Western countries to actually approve a vaccine. And I read that within days, the first priority groups that have been identified will be getting their injections. It's apparently 2 injections. You get one and then have to wait 30 or 45 days or something, and you get a second one. But they were making a big point about it that said when the vaccine was first developed and when it was in the initial stages, then the authorities and everybody that's responsible had started making plans as to what they were going to do when today arrived. When the day came that the approval was given, they wanted to be ready. And so they'd set up hospitals, they'd recruited staff, they'd come up with all of the logistics of how they're going to move the vaccines around, how they're going to store them, who's going to administer them. They'd identified all these people, nurses, doctors, airline staff, goodness knows who else. And now they're ready. And she actually, the lady that was communicating this, said, if this was like climbing a mountain, then we started climbing when we first heard that the vaccine was here. She says, but now when we get the news that it's approved, we're already halfway up the mountain, we're at the base camp. And I thought, wow, that's pretty good that when you know something is coming and you know that it's serious, then you engage full speed ahead on all of the preparations that need to be made. And I thought, wow, you know, that would preach, right? Because, you know, what do we do at times when we feel like, man, things are just crazy around us? You know, there's all these problems and we don't quite understand. Well, in the midst of all of that, we find ourselves now in Advent. And Advent, as we've talked about, it's a time of preparation. It's a time of preparation of our hearts. You know, I talked yesterday, as well as I was able, to say that, you know, Jesus' arrival in Bethlehem, that's history. And yeah, we can go back and celebrate it, and we will at Christmas. But we're really preparing our hearts to celebrate something that's taken place in the past. But the bigger point of Advent is that we know he's coming again. Advent, his appearance, is not only a celebration of the past, but it's looking forward to the future. So we're in a time of preparation. I read a story that the superintendent of a large Christian school was concerned when he went to visit the classrooms that many of them were in disarray. There were papers on the floor, the students' desks were surrounded by clutter. He opened a couple of their drawers and found all sorts of mess in there, and he felt strongly that learning couldn't take place in such an untidy environment, so he decided to take action. He chose one classroom from an experiment. So he went to the class, he introduced himself to the students, and with a smile, he made this proposition. He says, your teacher, the principal, and I have provided a well-equipped classroom for you to enjoy, but we need your help in order to keep your desks and the classroom clean and orderly. Many of you have got crumpled papers and things inside your desk, books left open, pages bent. Often there are even pencils on the floor under your desk along with other stuff. He says, I'd like for each of you to clean out your desk today, and then when we begin the school year, resolve to keep it clean. He said, and one day I'm going to come back and I'm going to inspect your desks, and the person with the cleanest desk will be given this. And he held it up, and it was $100 bill. So he said, well, I'm not going to tell you what day it will be. It will be a surprise. I'm not going to tell the teacher, the school principal. Nobody will know when I'm coming. Well, the children were very excited and immediately began pulling things from their desks, filling up the trash can, stacking their books neatly, and put their pencils away and everything else. And every morning for the first week or so, every student came in and they checked their desk, make sure it was in good condition. And they were all convinced that today was going to be the day that the superintendent came back. But he didn't. And the following week, some of the boys grew kind of tired of the whole thing, and they resumed their former habits. They just didn't continue to tidy up. By the third week, several students said, you know what, we don't think he's ever coming back. He just said that to make us keep our desk clean. And after 2 months, no one in the classroom bothered to inspect their desks at all. In fact, it seemed like everybody had forgotten the superintendent's promise, except for one girl. There was one girl, and she was meticulous. Every day she inspected her desk. Several times a day she'd clean up, and she'd make things were in proper order. And for months, she was teased by the other students. They said, he's not coming back. Why do you keep looking for him? You're stupid believing that promise. But still, she remained quiet, and she kept her desk in perfect condition and waited. And near the end of the school year, one day, there was a knock on the door, and the superintendent entered. And as soon as he came in, some of the students realized what was going to happen, and they started frantically trying to clean up. But the superintendent held up his hands and said, stop, stop. So all the students were asked to stand by their desk while the superintendent inspected everyone. So one after another, he rejected them for being untidy or for having trash or whatever. One boy tried to give excuses. Another one blamed the teacher for not having reminded them, and another one blamed the superintendent himself for making them wait so long. But finally, the superintendent arrived at the desk of the little girl, who confidently displayed her well-kept desk while beaming at the superintendent. So after inspecting her desk, he took her by the hand to the front of the classroom, and he awarded her the $100 bill. Boys and girls, he said kindly, this girl never stopped believing I would return. So she kept her desk in perfect order. She didn't need to worry about what day or what time of day I'd come, because she was always ready, always. So, when I read that story, I thought, wow, that's exactly analogous to where we are, right? We have the promise that he's coming back. But many of us have grown tired. Many of us are not prepared. And I thought, well, if I absolutely knew yesterday I said, what would happen if the Lord came in through that door? Well, my question today was, if I knew he was coming in at 5 o'clock tonight, what would I do? Would I have a bunch of preparation to do? Would I be then feeling, oh my goodness, sometimes I've had a meeting with a client and they've referred to some email that they sent, and I realize, oh my goodness, I didn't read it. Well, how would it be if the Lord's coming back at 5 o'clock tonight and you realize, oh my goodness, I haven't been reading his word. I haven't been in touch with him. I haven't been praying. It's like that little girl, she was mocked because she didn't relax. She kept, and how would we need to be like that little girl, right? There's a tendency that says, well, if he didn't come yesterday, then he's not likely to come today. But really, that attitude is based on a false premise. If you know and you're certain that he said he's coming back, then every day on which he doesn't come makes his return even closer, makes his return even more likely, makes his return even more urgent. And so the question is, do we believe him? Well, I know that I believe him. I believe he's coming back, and I believe that when I look around, I see the signs of his return. I see the fact that he's going to be coming back very, very soon. Luke 21:28. And when these things begin to come to pass, then what are we to do? We're to look up and lift up our heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. So today, yes, we're in Advent. And today, this is a time of preparation. And if ever there was a season where we need to be preparing our hearts and our minds and our lives and our spirits and preparing in every possible way for his return, this is the season. So that's my little word to you today. The Lord's return is closer than it's ever been. He is more likely to return today than ever. And so let's be prepared. Let's be prepared for that announcement. We won't get the announcement. He's just going to walk in. But I just say, Lord, help me to be faithful. Help me to be prepared. Help me not to grow lazy. Help me not to let things help me not to, you understand what I mean, but help me not to let my desk be untidy, not to get negligent. But help me to live with the reality that when we see these things, and if you doubt that we're seeing these things, then I don't know where you're living, because what I see is the culmination of so many different things. And what happens in times like this, we lift up our head. And why do we lift up our head? We lift up our head not to look around, not to look at all of the stuff. If we're not careful, you're going to spend your time looking around and saying, oh, here's something wrong and here's something wrong. But what we need to be doing is looking up, for our redemption draweth nigh. But when we look up, that's it. We better be prepared, right? So that's my word to you today. Look up, your redemption draweth nigh. I'll be back tomorrow. Sure, love you all. Pray that you are indeed just feeling the reality of this season of Advent, a time of preparation. And I pray that it'll be a season of refreshing and a season where we can draw closer to the Lord, and the relationship that we have with him can be stronger than in any time in the past. Sure, love you all. Be back tomorrow. Bye-bye.